People who have been cheated on. How do you find out? You know how Facebook chat bubbles open up on top of whatever app you're on. He sent me a screenshot of something funny between him and his cousin. In the background was a text message about a date he was going on with this girl. Short version, this is how I found out my ex was cheating. On Christmas Day. The longer version of the story is that I had gone home to my parents' house got Christmas. My ex did not join me in 2 days before Christmas. I told him I wanted to separate. He'd been super distant and a workaholic for almost 2 years at that point. Nothing I said or did mattered to him or woke him up to realize how deeply unhappy I was. The last conversation I tried to have with him over it involved him interrupting me with a giggle fit because he started thinking about how funny and cute a basket full of kittens would be. I told him I wanted a separation, and he demanded I drove back to have Christmas and Christmas Eve with him because we needed to figure out if this could work. I drove 6.5 hours back and found out that he was still working those days, so I was, per usual, going to be alone on Christmas Eve and Christmas. So our conversation lasted about 3 hours before he went to bed early so he could be at work early. Next day, I opened my Christmas presents over FaceTime with my parents watching, pretending everything was fine. However, his iPad kept dinging like crazy in the cabinet nearby. I waited until my parents had hung up before I opened it and saw the first message on the screen. It was from an ex-co-worker of his, one with a serious boyfriend, and there was something off in the message. I opened up their chat and read the whole thing. Turns out, he'd been planning to her for months while I was away. Her boyfriend didn't know. I certainly didn't know. Beyond her, there were 2 other coworkers he was talking to flirtatiously, one of which had children closer to his age than she was to him. I confronted him about it, and he lied about certain details and dates. He also tried to erase his text messages on his phone, not realizing that erasing them on your phone doesn't erase them on the iPad. Our divorce was finalized that following summer. Also found out my ex was cheating on me on Christmas Day. I'd done a night shift volunteering at a homeless shelter on Christmas Eve night, got home, and the neighbors asked if everything was okay. I said I hadn't been in last night and asked what they meant. They said they'd heard a lot of unusual noise and a girl's loud laughter. I was even more perplexed when I went into my flat to find it a total wreck and my now ex passed out with a dried-up nosebleed and several condom wrappers on the floor. I just zoned out and went to my parents. My sister immediately downloaded Tinder and set exacting perimeters, and he came up almost instantly. Same on Bumble, Hinge, and Happen. I was honestly almost relieved. The relationship at that point had become one where I had felt I had no power due to my illness and where I constantly felt I was being lied to, where he would say and do things, tell me to kill myself, and then deny it ever happened, blaming my false memories on my mental illness, actually properly gaslighting. He was wonderful when other people were around, and I had felt trapped, scared, and really starting to believe I was making stuff up. All of this was nothing I had evidence of, so I never thought anyone would ever believe me, and that I couldn't leave this marriage to this supposedly wonderful man everyone loved without anything solid and real. So the cheating gave me a genuine out. I never did find out what actually happened that night. Frankly, I don't care to know. He was in the UK based on his marriage to me, since we had only been married 2 years. Me ending the relationship sent him back to Canada as his visa was no longer valid. Lesson learned. If someone is so seemingly besotted with you that they want to marry you after 5 months, it isn't you they want, it's something else, like a visa. My cousin, the oldest, was always a bit of a wild partier, but the family mostly ignored it because my uncle is the favorite, and he was the oldest of said favorite. While we suspected some weed use, never thought he was into anything heavier, and certainly no actual dealing. Well, we were all wrong. Big time. He came home over Christmas break and set things up so his guys could run things while he was away from school. He stupidly linked his iPhone to the family computer and I guess forgot that it would also sync with the iPad that his mom uses. Long story short, his mom saw the messages and freaked out. Told his dad. He was pulled from school immediately, phone cut off, sent to rehab, the full works. He basically dropped off the map for a year. Came back sober, went to a different school, graduated, and has used his experiences to help youth struggling with drugs in the inner city. I don't have much contact with him these days, but he's doing well for himself and I'm proud of him. He was heading down a dark and scary path. I had the same thing happen with an Android tablet, which I left by the bed. Wi-Fi on, apps on, I was at work talking to a girl who started out as a friend and then the talks got more than flirty. My GF, long story here, but we were like basically roommates at this point. Would see it go off and it'd preview the messages without having to turn it on. I'm an idiot. She confronted me about it and I learned real quick, Since then, how push notifications work lol. I'm not trying to be good guy in this story. We both did dirt, but I def myself that way. I'm not proud of this, and I fully admit it was a move, but I was younger and dumb. Anyways, I was dating 2 girls at once, and I finally broke it off with one, but she had given me an old iPod a few months before when my phone broke. I used it to FaceTime/message the girl I stayed with, but didn't realize it was still connected to her Apple account, and she was getting all the messages to her iPhone. They ended up talking and figured it out. Got what I deserved lol. Watched it unfold in front of me. She was on her phone, and I was logged in on her PC. She had 2 monitors and had left Facebook open on one of them. I was looking for the folder of downloaded music she had. I knew we had been having some trouble, and she had gone to stay with her friend for a non-specific amount of time. After I saw that, I found her chat with another friend of hers about how she was planning on getting papers for a divorce. I was going to write my own, but I will stick it there. By the time I got to know or confirm, she had been cheating on me for months already. So, I got a screenshot of something between her and one of ours common friend. At the time, I didn't notice anything unusual. But after a few days, I was going through my gallery and I saw that screenshot again, and there it was, notification at the top of the chat. I already knew she was cheating, but no one believed me. Everyone was like, you are being too paranoid, and she won't do something like that. Well, we were going to meet next day, so I took a printout and told her I have a gift for you. Next day, I gave it to her folded, then asked her to open it. After a few seconds, she had tears in her eyes. I left after that, and we didn't talk for a day or so. And when we did, she came up with some excuse. Fast forward, she has been cheating on that too for a year or so, and that guy is oblivious of this fact. My ex's downfall was using a BB phone about 12 years ago. For whatever reason, it handled texting through her Yahoo email address. One day, she goes to work with her email logged in on the PC, and as I go to close it, something got my attention, and I started snooping, which is 1,000,000% out of character for me, but as they say, sometimes you just know. Anyway, there was photo evidence of pictures taken for someone who wasn't me that were close-ups of her no-no zone. Immediately went up to her work mid-shift to get the engagement ring back. Had a very similar experience, although he wasn't her fiancé, just her long-term boyfriend, who got shot at a party and died at the hospital. I wasn't with her when she found out either. She called me crying because her friend got shot, and when I immediately told her I was on my way to take her to see him and be with her friend group, I wasn't even going to stick around, just give her a ride cause she couldn't drive. And then she just cried harder and confessed that I was the dude on the side. I really loved her too. We also never talked again. We lived far enough apart that we had to plan seeing each other. I worked and was going to college, so we'd only get to see each other once or twice a week. She would most often come to see me, since I didn't have a vehicle. Other than there being times I couldn't get a hold of her except through Yahoo Messenger, nothing was too weird. Even not being able to contact her didn't seem too weird, because it's not like I owned her time and expected her to always be available.